That's the primary reason why I am in the shadow of a mountain that has a cavern in it with my name on it. And there are other caverns here that have not been excavated on this property. Two other ones. We don't know how deep they are. But the one that we have is very big, so we're not, not like we need the space. But that's the reason that there has to be a cavern in your contingency planning, because there's threat. The only way you're going to neutralize that CME threat, whenever this stuff flares, becomes storms, magnetosphere fluctuates, power grids go down, you don't want to be walking around outside in the middle of the day. You want to be inside the cavern, right? And it's going to be 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after this thing reaches perihelion, right? Depending on those factors, those variables that I'm telling you about. It could be a little longer, it could be a little less. But 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, we should expect the sun is going to react violently to a big heavy mass object right next to it. So remember, the sun sits inside that gravity well, and this thing is going to come in and do a loop-de-loop around it. And even whenever a comet does that, it gets flares from the sun. It's a defense mechanism from the sun. It can actually change the direction of asteroids and comets and things that are going to crash into the sun. All right? So one falls out of orbit directly into the sun. The sun sends out a flare and it diverts it, and then it ends up in orbit around the sun. That's how they begin their life, as an orbiting satellite of the sun. All right? Well, that coronal mass ejection, those flares that come out towards the heavy mass object, just imagine when the Earth is right on the same side of the sun with the heavy mass object, and the flares start spilling out of the side of the sun. Run to your cavern if you have one. If you don't, what are you going to do? That's why so my threat assessment report includes the cavern, and the stuff is already in the cavern. Right? That's the solar threat that we're talking about. That's the reason for going there. But then, during parts of the other threat, you don't want to be anywhere near the cavern, because this stuff's going to start shaking. Even though we're over here on the stable plate, then you're not going to take your chances in the cavern when the Earth is shaking. Right? So cavern, solar threat, and then know when to get the heck away from it. Open mic.
Hey, I just got back in here. Hey, listen, Terral, all this information's good, but you know what? If you can't really do anything with the information, what good is it to anybody? I'm serious. I started thinking about that. Everybody's in here talking about this, that, and the other, but if you can't really do nothing about it, and you can't help yourself, can't get the tavern, you're pretty much toast. So why are we even sharing this information? Seriously. I started thinking about this last night, and I kept thinking, we went through all this last year, and we're now hearing it now it's a heavy mass object. This is what Kozik made up. You called it a Ellie, Kozik called it a heavy mass object. Nobody knows what the hell it is, and we're still talking about it. And if it happens, then what can we do? Seriously, if you don't have anybody or no resources, you're pretty much toast. So what's everybody going to do about it? Seriously, to sit here and talk about it until it finally comes, then what? Seriously, my interest is in what can I do about it? You've already done something about it, right? But the most common folks can't do anything about it because they're working every day. They don't have enough money to do something like that. So what can you do? I know it isn't Earthship. I think it's a waste of time. That's what I think. I've concluded all this discussion is a waste of time, because here's what I'm interested in. What can I do about it? Who can help me, because I can't help myself? I think everybody thinks that way. If you can't have anybody to help you because you can't help yourself, because you don't have enough money to go to a cavern, you just can't quit your job, stop taking care of your kid, and just up and move into a cavern. So you can do that. But most people can't do that. So what's in it for me? That's what I want to know. Oh, no, you can't, Earthship. Shut the hell up. Come up here and tell me I can help myself when I know I can't. I have enough money to get by every week, feed my kid, and that's it. Put gas in my car and drive back and forth to work, and that's all. I don't have any extra money, take any kind of time off, and move down to go exploring somewhere to live in case of a heavy mass object or whatever. I don't have them resources unless Aaron's really for sure. And I'm going to call him out on it too. I'm sick of waiting for him. I'm sick of hearing all this. this is going to be my room. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be anybody's slave. And we're going to talk about real things, like how are you going to make it? We know Terrell's made it already. He's in the Ozarks. He's fine. I'm not fine. You're not fine. Are you in the Ozarks? Now, I'm not talking to everybody because some people can do it. I'm talking to the common folks that cannot do it. What about you? Can you do it? This is what my room's all about. This is what I always wanted to know because it used to make me sick last year. And you remember this, Terrell. I love you. I think you're a nice person, kind man. But it doesn't help me with all if the shit hits the fan, so to speak. If that happens, then I'm out of luck. But I think that God will take care of me. But I don't know anything for sure. Now I'm because Aaron invited me to his place. I feel like I'm protected. He's got that kind of stuff. But he's in a dead zone, like you said. So damn if I do, damn if I don't. So I don't know what to do. What are you doing? Not you, Terrell, because we know what you're doing. You're not going to help anybody. I mean, why do you keep talking about it? I mean, is there a reason why we keep talking endlessly about this? When last year you had to have an application, you had to have resources to get accepted or not, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's got to the point where I don't really care about that anymore. That's not what my room's about. My room's about fighting the beast system and the New World Order and all these people. In case you're called out like most common folks are, and you don't have to go to FEMA camps, you can survive. I'm talking about survival. If you can't go to if a heavy mass object comes, I don't even think a bunker's going to help you, or a cave or anything. I think you're pretty much toast. But if there's solar flares coming, you can do that. But what can you do? What can anybody do? What can any person do besides Terrell and Kazik and all these other people? Because if you notice, Kazik nor Terrell is going to help anybody because, hey, they're helping themselves. I want to know what the common folks can do. That's what I want to know. anybody that's ever been on Peloton. And he says there's nothing out there. He didn't see anything. I flat out asked him, I said, listen, you know, if what was there something out there we really need to worry about? He goes, Steve, no, I've been listening for a year, and there's nothing that we've seen out there that's going to endanger the earth anytime soon. He goes, although maybe sometime, you know, early next year it's a possibility. I kept thinking, you know, he told me limited stuff, but you know, I don't know. Nobody knows anything, I don't think. I just think people are guessing, and it's like all talk. I don't know if it's just entertainment or what. I mean, how quickly can you forget? Last year was Ellie, and this year is HMO. I don't think it's either one of them. Because if it was, somebody would have seen it by now. Don't you think somebody would have seen this thing by now? I'm not coming against you. I always liked you. You're a nice, kind man. And unlike Kazik, he's an asshole. But you're a nice, kind person. And I like you. But I don't know about what you're talking about. You always talk and you try to give information. I know you're trying to be helpful. But to me it's confusing. I keep thinking, you know, all right, what if this is coming and it gets closer? Where's everybody supposed to go? Nobody has a place. I mean, how can I'm talking to the common people. I don't care about the people that's not common. I only care about the common folks. They're in my shoes. A lot of people like in my shoes. What are we going to do? That's what I want to know. That's what I care about more than anything. I don't care where it's at, and if it's here, it's there. Okay, let's say it's there, it's behind Leo, it's behind Mars, and whatever. What am I going to do in the meantime? Or say a person that's not a Christian doesn't believe in a rapture. What are they going to do? That kind of thing. See, I'm for the common folks. That's what I've always been concerned. I've said the same thing for a year and a half, or ever since we've been talking about this a little bit over a year. And that's what I'm concerned about. That's my main concern. That's the information I want. I don't care if it's here, if it's there. I want to know what I can do to get ready. You know, and you know that kind of thing. What can common folks, people that has to work every day and they don't have the luxury of just taking their time and driving, you know, somewhere in the Ozarks or whatever, or they don't have 194 people like Kazik does, and they got lots of money and resources, and they can just go, you know, when they think that they're going to go when they get the buzzword and helicopter into the Ozarks. But most people can't do that. What about those people? That's what I want to know. That's what I care about more than anything. All this other stuff is just a bunch of talk. It doesn't mean anything. It never has. A bunch of egomaniacs running around thinking this, that, and the other. I just want plain common sense without a bunch of rhetoric and calling HMO. And I knew there was going to be no Ellie last year. I always said that, but I always liked you. But I knew there wasn't going to be no HMO or Ellie. There's no such thing as an HMO. Nobody's seen it. There's thousands of astronomers out there. Somebody would have seen it. Aaron didn't see it, but you know, if he gets back, I'm going to call him out. I'm tired of messing with him too. I'm tired of messing with all these people that just teach you and give you a little bit and don't give you it all. And I know you